Hi, I'm Carl, and I'm here to share my story of how I survived knife crime. I'm from the UK, and I grew up in a city called Nottingham. My mum had me at 16 years old, so she didn't really have maternal instincts of knowing how to bring up a child. My mum was going through a lot of domestic incidents with my dad at the time. The first thing that I remember when I was getting close to about 18 months, 2 years old, my dad hung me out of a 10-story building window by my legs, which he was threatening to drop me out the window because my mum was threatening to leave him. In the end, he pulled me in and he decided to pick up a Stanley knife. But he didn't use the Stanley knife on my mum. He decided to use the Stanley knife all over the house. Following that, they broke up. My dad went to prison for arson. He'd heard that there was a man that was doing things to children that lived in the flat that was around our area. So my dad decided to set fire to the guy's flat. So this was my mum's get out clause, to be fair, to kind of like get away from him. And then she met my stepfather. My mum fell pregnant with my brother. And the minute that another sibling came into the equation, things started to change with the way that I was being treated. My parents was musical. They was always out on the road. We needed babysitters and people to look after us because we was underage to go in the pubs. And we went to my uncle's house, and my uncle had just split up with his wife. He didn't take that very well, and his mental health, it declined dramatically. He was drinking a lot and he was smoking a lot. I remember he bought himself a pool table for the spare bedroom. He allowed me to drink, and he allowed me to have a couple of pulls on a spliff. It then become into first signs of, and it started with the pool table and him coming up with an idea of let's play stripped pool. So the loser has to take off an item of clothing. I didn't think this was weird at the time. I am 9 years old, so I don't think there's anything weird going on here. I'm also under the influence of anger, so I don't know what's going on right now. So by the end of the game, I'm obviously fully unclothed and he's still fully clothed. And he said about being a secret, and this is our secret. No one would ever believe you if you ever said anything, and you know it will be you that gets into trouble. Just the reverse psychology of it, of putting it onto me like it was my fault. So this continued until I was 13. I came back from school one day and my mum asked me a question. Has your uncle ever done anything to you? I could hear him echoing in the back of my head, no one will believe you, it'd be your fault, this is our secret, never say anything. So my response to that was no. So I thought about it for the next coming day or so. I basically said to her, what you said to me, yes, he has, and he's been doing it since I was 9 years old. It turned out he was also abusing the next door neighbour's child as well. The case went to court. My case got dropped, but he got 4 years sentence for the next door neighbour's child. I tried to filter my anger into positive things, and I got involved in boxing. I didn't have no money, so I ended up stealing £2 every time I needed to go training. I then got bored of boxing, so I got involved with full-on street life. Why would you pick the streets rather than being at home with your family? I didn't have a family really. I was pushed out of the family. We never saw ourselves as gangs. We saw ourselves as a bunch of friends that was just really tight and loyal and respected each other. And I didn't feel I had that at home, so I found that on the street with my friends. We had a lot of fights. We upset a lot of people. You never know who's coming around the corner, so you've always got to be on your guard. It keeps you going. It makes you thrive more. You don't care. If you've got nothing to lose and you don't care of an outcome, you're very worrying to be around. There was a new lad on the scene. I'm 15 years old, and my best friend, Leighton, was hanging around with this lad. He was going around robbing people that he shouldn't be robbing. But because my friend had been seen with him, he'd then been labelled as part of what had been happening. One day we were stood on this corner of this bank, and this car came screeching up. These lads had jumped out of the car with knives, and we've scattered straight away. We've gone different directions, but my friend froze on the wall. One of the lads that jumped out of the car ran towards him and stuck a knife straight in his chest. He'd fallen back over the wall and died as a result of his injuries from being in the heart. But in my arms, he took his last breath in my arms. I couldn't even explain to you exactly how I were. There was no feelings from me to anybody. I hated everybody. So I took it upon myself to beat one of these lads up. I did give him a good hiding. I never saw him again from that until one day I heard a shout from behind. There was 5 lads behind me, and the person that I'd beat up was in that crowd. And I got jumped by these 5 lads and in the thigh with a carving knife. And waking up in the hospital a week or so later. The surgeon said that we noticed that your hand was on the carving knife when you arrived. It's a good job that you didn't pull that carving knife out of your leg, because you was millimeters away from your main artery and you would have bled to death. So something saved my life that night, and it was used as a badge of honor. Hi, I'm Carl. I've been pleased to meet you. Hello. That's the mindset that I had back then. Going forward many years, I mean, I'm 40 years old now. You know, I've done about 8 years of my life in prison throughout the years. About 6 years ago, I had a severe mental breakdown. I had a liver disease. I started self-medicating with tramadol and Valium to try and get away the pain that I was going through. I ended up probably taking a day, 12 tramadol a day and about 25 to 30 Valium a day. I couldn't take the way that I was feeling anymore, and the pain that I was going through and the tablets that I was continually taking. I went into psychosis for about 6 weeks. I had a massive outburst in my household with my partner. There was domestic incidents that happened within my house around my children. I tried to take my own life twice. I was found half dead outside a local shop by police officers, where I'd swallowed 50 Valium to try and take my own life. I ended up taking for about 4 months without realizing that I was even taking the stuff. I don't even remember doing it. But when I came back to reality with this, I came back to reality with addiction. I was banned from seeing my children from our local services that we have in England. I was classed as mentally unstable. When I came back to reality, that was my turning point of where I'd had enough of living a life of destruction. I've lost so many years of my life living that way, and it's never got me anywhere. It's just given me prison, the loss of friends, addictions, homelessness, living on the streets. But back then, I had nothing to lose. And that's why I continued to live it, because there was nothing for me to stop. But this time around, I've got children, and having children, if you get taken away, they've now lost something, which isn't fair on the children. Because of the childhood that I've actually had myself, I'm no better than my childhood with the way that I am with my own children, which I should be completely the opposite to that. And I was shown a picture of my boy, and he cried himself to sleep on a kitchen floor asking for me. It clicked me straight away, and I said, from this day forward, I'm not going to be involved in any gangs, and I'm going to go out and do what I should be doing and give back everything that everybody's tried to give me throughout my life. I started the process with volunteering with our local drug and alcohol service. But with that, at the same time, I was still doing quite a lot of hard work on myself, trying to understand exactly who I were. Because when you stop doing these things, you've basically got to start your life from scratch, and you've got to learn everything again. They saw the potential in me, and I started working for them. I was introduced to a lady that worked for Sussex Police that did a program about restorative justice. I was doing the young people sides of things, where we was having children disappearing from home and not telling their parents where they're going. I was there to share my life story with these young kids, to tell them the dangers of exactly what is out there, and you should be telling your parents exactly where you are. And a lot of people never concentrate solely so much on young people's strengths. And when you concentrate on a young person's negatives, the only thing that they're going to lead is negativity. As simple as asking a young person, how's your day been today? Because no one's asking these kids this, sometimes not even their parents when they wake up in the morning. Did you have a good sleep last night, son? They're getting all these things from other people when they should be getting it indoors, which then leads them to being outside. Knife crime in the UK is at a high. There's a lot of people that are being taken by knife crime. I've moved my life into being an ambassador for knife crime. being a victim myself and losing my friend. So with that, I decided to set up my own project, Project Youth, and it's all funded by me. I involved myself in documentary filming, and I've added that as a part of my project. And because I do a lot around knife crime, there's also so many parents out there that have lost their children to knife crime. And I want to televise the devastation and impact that that has on somebody's life when somebody has decided to take someone else's life with a knife. From then on, I've made a lot of friends to go with this, because we are all now a massive community that are trying our best to raise awareness, but also try and save a life. I feel the happiest that I've ever been. Don't get me wrong, some days I can sit at home and I'm severely bored and I'm thinking, what can I do? What can I do now? But my mind never takes me back to that. That's how I know that I've changed, because it would have 5 years ago. If I was bored, I'd have got myself involved in something. But now if I'm bored, I'm quite comfortable in my own skin and I'm able to just sit with myself. If what I'm putting into the work that I'm doing is making somebody else happy, then I'm happy. And from doing that, I've had so many messages from different people sharing their story with me, and listening to what I've said has given them the confidence to speak up and speak out. I started it in COVID when everybody was locked behind a closed door, and I needed to do something to pass the time. And I thought, right, I'm going to go Instagram live. And I didn't have the confidence to do this, you know. I just went ahead with it and I just thought, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go live. And I went live and I've never looked back since. Trust is a big thing. If you can trust somebody and you know you can trust them with your life, that's the person that you need to share and open up. Because the minute that you've opened up to somebody, you'll feel a massive sense of release. If there's anybody out there that's potentially getting involved in a gang or already in a gang, stop. Gang life is going to bring you other than prison or death. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen many, many people go to prison, and I've seen many, many people die, because you're all chasing the note, the money. That's not worth more than your life, because if you're dead, you can't spend that money. Do I regret it? No, I don't regret it, because it's made me the person I am today. But I would say there was more lows than there were highs with that lifestyle. I wouldn't change it. And I always say to people, I have taken a positive from a negative. I'm kind of glad that my life has turned out the way that it has. And I thank leading that lifestyle for that reason. So thank you for listening to my story today. I really, really, really hope that you can take something positive away from what you saw today. And if you are going through anything that's troubling you, then please feel free to share.